Many of you have heard us talk about Hormone Harmony by Happy Mammoth, the supplement that helps women maintain optimal hormone levels, with over 50,000 glowing reviews from women worldwide and 98% saying they recommend it to friends and family. Now you can take those results even further by pairing it with their prebiotic collagen protein, which helps restore gut lining integrity, promoting overall hormone levels. Now, I've struggled with occasional digestive issues, and since taking the prebiotic collagen protein, I've noticed a real lift in my energy and overall well-being. Happy Mammoth is dedicated to making women's lives easier. And that means using only science-backed ingredients that have been proven to work for women. They make no compromise when it comes to quality, and it shows. Right now, you can try prebiotic collagen protein and Hormone Harmony risk-free and get 15% off your entire first order with the code DATEABLE at checkout. That's happymammoth.com and use the code DATEABLE for 15% off today.
With the holidays right around the corner, it's time for me to start planning all the festive meals and treats for the season. Frozen Washington red raspberries are the ultimate holiday shortcut to flavor, as they are picked at peak ripeness and frozen within hours to lock in their bright, sweet tart taste. I love raspberries in my desserts, and boy does this cran raspberry pecan tart sound delicious. Grown by passionate farmers in Washington state, they're frozen with care to ensure top quality and food safety, and it always feels good to support local American farmers. And here's the best part. They're always in season. When you buy American-grown frozen raspberries, you're getting fresh off the field flavor all year long. You can find them at Costco, Kroger, Meijer, and Winco Foods. Make sure to look for product in the U.S. on the bag. Check out True Fruit Mars Hyper Chilled Chocolate-Covered Raspberries and Smucker's Raspberry Jam. Want to learn more details on where to find American frozen red raspberries plus recipe ideas and cooking tips? Head to redraz.org. That's redrazz.org. You'll find participating retailers as an inspiration for every meal, plus info on how these berries go from farm to freezer with quality you can taste. Hello, friends. It's been a minute since we've done a quickie, but I want to pop in and talk about reflecting on everything that's been going on as a newlywed, as they like to say. But really, it doesn't feel all that different. But I have gained some perspective, especially as someone who got married later in life in my 40s. In fact, I've been just trying to process kind of just a lot going on because I do feel like I'm in a transition phase. So I did start a Substack where I wrote this full article about what I learned about getting married in my 40s. So I'll give a Cliff Notes version here, but you can definitely read the whole article if you'd like. I'll put it also in the show notes, but it's under juliekravchik.substack.com. So getting married in your 40s. I don't think I ever thought I would get married in my 40s. I'm not quite sure when I thought I would get married. I think I just thought it would happen when it happened for everyone else. So when all my friends started getting married in their mid 30s, early to mid 30s, I was like, okay, is this going to happen for me? And, clearly found other people too that were single and realized that everyone just has to go at their stage of life. I have friends that are getting engaged this year and, still getting married and, choosing not to get married. And all of that is your decision and what works for you. But I think I've learned a little bit around just letting go of some of these initial timelines. And that is really hard for someone like me who is an achiever at heart. So what did I learn? Cliff Notes version, again, full article. Love it if you follow along with me there. But first things first, I'm glad I took the extra time to let my relationship develop. I think I thought because I waited so long to meet the right person, everything would happen just really fast. Like we would date, get engaged, married within a couple of years. So holding on to that timeline, it might have been a disservice for me because it just created unnecessary pressure for both of us. Like it was good to have a vision and a plan, but I think following into this, it must happen by year 1 and then this must happen by year 2. It wasn't just giving our relationship the breathing room it needed. So all said and done though, I'm really glad we kind of netted out to where we were. And then again, like everyone's relationship is different. What works for me timeline would not be for other people, but it gave us space to build something real within these milestones. And I think about too, like getting to know each other's families, like all of this was a lot more fleshed out because we had a little more time. We ended up dating roughly like 3.5 years and then getting engaged and then having like an 8-month engagement. So that part moved a little quicker. The second big learning I had also relates to timing, but just trust in your timing. I think looking back, it's really clear why my past relationships didn't work. And part of it was me. Part of it was that I wasn't ready for the type of commitment and emotional maturity, self-growth, accountability, all of it that a partnership truly takes. I don't think I even realized what a partnership truly takes. By doing this podcast and, having the growth experiences in my single life, that's what eventually helped me see that. And yeah, of course you can evolve while in a relationship. Absolutely. But I think for me, it was helpful to have that time alone to develop my sense of self and a life that I truly loved. And I think that ultimately made me a stronger partner in the end. So the third one, that's one of my favorites. I learned to embrace being the fifth wheel. Or heck, maybe the seventh or ninth wheel. I think for a while I used to dread being the only single friend at dinners and parties and weddings. Like I remember talking to my therapist and being like, oh my God, I'm going to be the only single person there. And everyone's going to look at me and, wonder why I'm still single. And she's like, girl, they're just trying to get to the open bar. I mean, she didn't say it that way 100%, but she's like, they're focused on the open bar. Like they don't care, or the hors d'oeuvres. Like they're not like looking at your single status. And it was a wake up call for me that it's like I was more focused on this and letting it get in the way of my friendships. Like when we all went out, half the time, all the girls went one way and the guys went a separate anyways. And we all just bonded because everyone's like, I'm living with my partner and I want to catch up with my friends. I think if I didn't go to that stuff, that would have been a missed opportunity. Like if I was like, I'm actually going to sit this out because I'm going to be the only single one there. I actually was talking about this with a friend who has a friend like that. And I'm like, oh, I want to like shake that person because it's like, I get it. I understand it's uncomfortable, but at the same time, like you're missing out on connection and people who love you while in search for connection and people who love you. Like what world does that make sense? So I think a big shift for me was just not caring if I was the fifth wheel or the third wheel or whatever, and also just becoming friends with my friend's significant other. I think it just made it a lot easier to hang out with my friends if I felt comfortable with their partners. It didn't feel like I was tagging on as much. And even now, I'm still not in the same life stage as my friends with kids. And I could also have the same mentality of like, well, we shouldn't go. We're like the odd ones out. But again, I'm just learning to embrace it, and people just want you there. Like they don't care. It only creates distance if you let it. That being said, my fourth kind of learning from meeting someone later in life is to still find your people, because yes, I never got rid of my old friendships where people were moving into different life stages. But I think one of the best things I did for my love life was surround myself with people in the same life stage who truly got the challenges of dating and helped me stay grounded. Because your married friends don't get it. Like they don't fully get it, and that's okay. It's not to lose those people, but it's also to embrace new people. And clearly UA was one of them. I had a few other like really close friends, people that ended up being bridesmaids that I met at this stage of life when friends were in different chapters. But having Dateable as a way to like decompress was huge for me, and to just, understand what I was feeling with dating and really understand my own patterns. Of course, you don't need to start a podcast. I think I also really leaned on one of my best friends, Melissa, and we used to like go out. We had a standing date every Friday night during the pandemic, and we went out like once it was safe to leave for the pandemic. We would go out and, meet for dinner, and we would, of course, like talk about dating. It always crept in, but we tried to not make it like a bitch fest. Like we tried to like prop each other up and be like, why someone would be lucky to date us, and really like hype our friend up, but also just connect and not talk about dating too. Because again, it's like, I don't want to spend all my time connecting, complaining about dating. So, ultimately with all of my friends like this, like eventually love came, and now it's like so much better too because we can all do stuff together. The fifth thing I learned was owning your side. I mean this in the nicest way possible, but it's not the apps or your city, it's you. And for me, it actually helped to know that. It took doing this inner work to understand my worthiness wound that kept me stuck in situationships and settling for less. And once I took control of my side of the house, which I did have control for, I couldn't control people that ghosted and didn't want to be in relationships, but I could control how I was showing up and what my unhealed wounds were. Once I started dating with my needs at the forefront and understanding and believing that I was a catch, everything changed. The real shift is taking accountability for your part in the process. People always ask us, where do I go to meet someone or what app should I use? Honestly, it doesn't matter. The biggest thing is this. It's not the sexy part of dating. It's not the fun part always, but it can be fun if you look at self-growth as a way to get to know yourself better. But this is the stuff that truly moves the needle, the owning your own shit and taking accountability. And the last bit is that I learned to F the timelines. I think I've learned over the years that life rarely happens exactly as planned, like the people that got married in their 20s, maybe going through divorces now, or you just can't fully plan everything. And waiting meant that we built a stronger, more secure relationship, as I mentioned. And I was really concerned in my 40s, people weren't going to show up. They're well, I have, my demanding work life and my children and my significant other. I don't have time for your bachelorette or your wedding and all that. That was so far off from what happened. I think people, in a way, were overloaded with weddings and such in their 30s, and getting married in your 40s. People were down to party and they were ready to celebrate. So I think having this happen a little later, it just gave a bit more appreciation for a different time. And that's a really good thing. So I've really learned through all of this that it's never too late. Again, life throws curveballs. You might think you figured it out one day and then all of a sudden it's, life is all over the place. So we can only control so much when it comes to timing, and everyone is meant to do things at a time that works for them. And keeping that mantra really helped me stay grounded, and being intentional but not so set to deadlines really reduced a lot of the pressure. So yeah, there's so much I've learned, I think, by getting married later in life, but those were the big ones that stood out to me. Really just understanding myself, using dating as growth in the process, leaning on community and network and connections that aren't always romantic, because that really gives you love and support in times when you're single and don't have that significant other. And also, newsflash, you need people. It can never just be one person for the rest of your life. People are your community and people are your support system. Anyways, I have this all written out. If you want to read more or follow along, I wrote an article too about friendship in your 40s, because that's something I've been thinking a lot about, and just how sometimes it's I yearn for the good old days where I'll hang out all the time, but learning to appreciate the depth of what's happened in being with people that have known you through so many different stages of life. I think having a wedding in your 40s, I guess another benefit is that, people there have known you for so long and seen so many sides of you and iterations. So it gave me a minute to reflect on that. Anyways, I hope this was helpful. I hope if you're going through it right now that you're still dating when you thought maybe you would be settled down, or, concerned about timelines. Hopefully this gave hope again that things will work out as they should. I've had so many friends that have met people quote unquote later in life, and they're in the best relationships. So it gives me hope for all of you. And then hopefully also, again, to appreciate all the connection you do have right now, because you have a lot. Okay. Well, thanks for sticking with me, and we'll see you back on Sunday for a brunch talk. Bye.